Welcome to the Total Wireless store, where total confidence awaits.
I need a smartphone with an awesome camera. Got anything to fit a new dad's budget?
Don't worry, you got this with Total Wireless. And now you can get $50 off on select phones $99 and up.
My relatives won't miss a thing.
Now you can focus on the important stuff, like diaper duty.
Discover the Total Wireless stores and get total confidence. The latest phones, the best network, all at great prices. Now open in Miami. Limited time offer in 6/30/18. Available while supplies last. Porting required for a non-track phone brand. Offer only available at Total Wireless stores. Visit store for details.
Yeah, you won't be hearing a lot of hoorays tonight. This is Damn You Hollywood. I'm Robert Winfrey. Tonight I'm joined by Mark Radulich. Hi, Mark.
So you know those fish out in the sea? They got the light on their head, and the
Angler
light.
Fish.
Yeah. So the light attracts the fish, and then they're like, oh, it sets them up to be eaten. I have a similar thing going on. For those that don't know, we use the Spreaker Studio application on the computer, and there's a big, bright, red, alluring button at the top, and it begs me, it beseeches me to press it, which is what happened last week, and I almost did it again, only this time with just the opening theme. I actually had to say to myself, no, stupid, don't pause the whole podcast, just the song, just the song.
Yeah, for those of you completely unaware, last week when we were recording our review of Christopher Robin, which you can find in the archives here on Spreaker, on Mark's YouTube page, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or whatever other means by which you are listening to us. When we went to talk about the money, Mark paused the actual recording instead of just the song, so you all missed us talking about the finances and some of the financial state of the box office, which is the same stuff we've talked about. There wasn't anything revelatory. Then you missed the entirety of our critical review segment. And I had some good ones in there last week. Not a lot of great ones, but I had some good ones. And sadly, all is now lost to the ether. Because Mark can't resist big, shiny things, which also explains a significant number of the movies on our schedule. Tonight we are reviewing The Meg, the long-awaited adaptation of the 1996, I want to say, book by Steve Alten called, 97, excuse me, called Meg, coincidentally enough, which spawned an entire series of books, 4 or 5 I want to say. And yeah, I don't have a whole lot here. As far as the setup for this thing goes. Mark, is there anything you wanted to say about this before we get into the plot synopsis?
Well, a hurricane didn't stop me from seeing it. So, I mean, we're doing better. I mean, this is by all rights a horror movie, and I actually made it to the theater to watch it.
No.
Really? We're not counting this as a horror movie?
Let me think.
I mean, I guess Monster...
Let me think. It's about the third categorization. Like, if you break this thing down into what it is first, it's probably more a survival science fiction thing monster feature before you get into horror.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, monster movies and horror movies have a long-standing crossover on the Venn diagram, but there are outliers on each side for monster movies that don't necessarily qualify as horror films. I'd argue this one is like that, but it gets into pedantic linguistics around categorization more than anything else.
Either way, I made it to the theater. I was good this time.
Yeah, you missed a really good movie last year. That was one of the few horror movies on the list. You're gonna pat yourself on the back for seeing this. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, let's. You always ask me, like, well, what did you expect? What? Sure.
What were your expectations for this this Drek?
I mean, I honestly, and I'm going to tell you, I was a little disappointed. I was expecting a fun, monster movie. I was expecting, the shark to eat a bunch of things and eat a bunch of people.
It never even took out one of the helicopters, which made me so mad. That actually does happen in the book. At one point, it jumps up and destroys a helicopter.
So, I mean, I'm just... I think it was Jurassic World, where the one sea creature, jumps out of the water and bites the Raptosaurus or whatever the hell it was called. The mutant Tyrannosaurus Rex that they created,
the Indominus Rex. Mark.
The Indominus Rex, yes. I don't expect to.
Dude, look, my gift is remembering useless things. Don't worry about it.
That, and I was also laughing because somebody put up. I'm looking for artwork for the show tonight, and somebody put up the Meg poster, but instead of the shark, they put Meg from Family Guy.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
And it just says, "Shut up, Meg." Anywho, bottom line is, I thought they would have more fun with this than they did, and it was almost as if they, the people who put this movie together took it a little too seriously. We don't want people to think this is a silly movie. But it's a silly movie.
Yeah, that's the type of thing you have to lean into when it comes to this.
Yeah, and so I think there was a real opportunity to do something fun with this, and I think they blew it. So we'll get into the specifics of it, but I'll give you a hint as to where I'm going with my review, and that is to say, until they went out to sea to catch the thing, I was bored out of my fucking mind and dozed off once or twice.
All right. Let's go ahead and start off with this here. Our opening sequence, we are introduced to Jason Statham. Everybody cheer because Jason Statham's kind of awesome. As part of a deep-sea rescue diving team, which I'm not entirely sure is a thing, but might be, during the course of this rescue, things go sideways. The sub they are rescuing people from starts having collapses, bulkheads are giving way, and he makes the difficult decision to leave behind a few of his teammates who are trapped on part of the sub to prevent the sub's explosive decompression. It's not explosive decompression, actually, because the pressure's coming in, not out, but to prevent the destruction of this submarine from destroying the rescue vehicle and killing everyone. For some reason, this is controversial. That was my big gripe with the first part of this movie. There is nothing procedurally out of line with what he did by any reasonable metric. That's what you do in that situation. But this whole incident apparently causes him to resign in semi-disgrace. We jump to a deep-sea research vessel that is exploring a theory that has as much scientific merit as the Hollow Earth theory. Of course, we got a pretty decent couple of movies out of that theory as well, so I shouldn't be too hard on it. That somewhere below there is actually that what we perceive of as the floor of the ocean in a specific section is not in fact the floor, but a frozen layer of various gases that are being ejected by thermal vents on the actual surface of the Earth, which is a extension of real science. It's still BS, but at least that's founded in reality. We meet a lot of the characters that we're going to pay a bit of attention to. The lead scientist, his daughter, the quirky billionaire. If you've seen one of these movies, you know all the character tropes we're getting here, so let's just move on. They execute a successful dive, but their sub, once it reaches this mystical layer of life that's a completely self-contained ecosystem, is immediately essentially attacked by something. We even get the last transmission of the vessel being, "No, Jonas was right." I mean, seriously. While they still have vital signs from the crew, the sub itself is too badly damaged to make ascent. They have lost communications. And the only hope for our beleaguered band of submariners is now Jason Statham, who is a drunk living in Thailand, but a drunk with the physique of a god. I don't know how you square those two, but if I was just getting drunk off my ass every day for 5 years, I would not look even remotely like Jason Statham looks.
Maybe he has a hyperthyroid.
I don't know. But so they go down, they talk Jason Statham into coming back because, surprise, surprise, one of the pilots on the ship is his ex-wife. I mean, personally, I'd find that more motivation to just leave them down there, but I'm a terrible person. As they die, the scientist's daughter...
Did you get the feeling that the script for this movie was put together entirely by word clouds?
Parts of it. There's at least 2 different segments of this that was just like, you're just studio notes, aren't you? Like, you are literally just a studio executive who thinks he has a creative iota in his body, gave you a few notes, and because Jon Turteltaub's a hack, they just ran with it.
Yeah.
They execute the dive successfully in the rescue. As they are rescuing the ship, they see what attacked them. It's apparently the same thing that attacked Jason Statham earlier on a different part of the planet. Not too different, but on a different part of the trench at least. And outside of this thermal barrier, which is in theory the only reason a shark like this could survive, but apparently it's still somehow the same creature. Yay for narrative inconsistencies. It is, in fact, a megalodon, a giant prehistoric shark. And if you pay any attention to history, I mean, a megalodon is a great thing in theory. They are just enormous sharks. And in this case, they're attracted to the lights that are being let off by the various submersibles that have gone down this deep. Everyone reascends, and it costs them a couple of lives, at least one. It's the Asian guy. It's the black guy or the Asian guy first. Like it's always one of those two. They reascend and they try to figure out what to do next with this information. Our quirky billionaire wants it immediately exploited because he spent over $1 billion on this facility and the research and the expeditions. And I do need a return on investment at some point, guys. I'm not a bottomless font of money. As they're debating how to proceed, it turns out that during the rescue operation, one of the subs got pushed into one of these thermal vents that then extruded enough energy. I mean, the actual explanation for this in the book makes more sense. That it created a thermal highway for one of these, or two, as it turns out, of these sharks to leave their enclosed environment and join essentially the surface world. Their research station is briefly attacked. They all realize, oh crap, bad things are happening. They go out and they try to engage the shark, to track it, to poison it, etc. This has mixed results. In the end, they do manage to poison and kill the shark, which they then string up on the boat, only to realize, oh no, there's a bigger one, because we shot these out of order, and we have all this... that genuinely felt like we just shot this crap out of order. We have another hour of movie to fill. Oh look, another one.
And this time it's bigger.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's that stupid. But this forces the billionaire to go off the rails a little bit.
All that was missing was someone going, "Welp, here we go again." Would have been perfect.
Yep. I would have settled for just a smash cut too. Like, we just pay Disney for the rights to a singular scene from The Phantom Menace and just have Liam Neeson go, "There's always a bigger fish."
That would have been perfect.
Anyway, the billionaire tries to kill this thing on his own to avoid lawsuits and liability and his name being besmirched because rich people are evil. This goes badly. Rainn Wilson gets eaten. The group finds out that he lied about telling people about the shark because, again, he wanted to deal with it quietly and internally. So they try to get the word out about the giant prehistoric shark now roving the ocean, but they're summarily laughed out of every conference call they try to get on, as they should be. All things, I mean, it's a stupid thing. It sounds like a crank call. So they set out on their own to engage it. They do so after it has killed a few people on one of these horribly crowded Chinese beaches. I forget which one. It doesn't matter. But they are able to finally defeat it. Jason Statham's romance with the scientist's daughter pays off. A bunch of people die, because that's what happens in these types of movies. And the world goes back to normal, essentially, at this point. Okay, did I give overly short shrift to anything there that you want to talk about before we get into the specifics here?
They tried really, really hard to create an emotional subplot between Jason Statham and the Chinaman scientist woman. Oh, and they tried to give the kids something to do other than be shark bait.
Yeah. Can I just say, to anyone out there who was like up in arms over Ruby Rose's casting as Batwoman,
you know, I was wondering if you were going to bring that up.
You should be so much more annoyed at her involvement in this movie than anything else she does going forward.
Why, was she not gay enough for this either?
I mean, I don't know how much of this to blame on her and how much to blame on the writing, so I suppose I should give her a pass. I mean, honestly, the whole Batwoman thing is just, it's stupid. You hire an actor to play a role.
People aren't going to be happy until, you know, casting agents and directors in Hollywood just say, you know what, we're only gonna hire straight people. How do you like them apples? Because not gay enough. That's where we are right now.
The truly crazy thing about that is that the significant number of, like, if you track the conservative media, none of them cared that Ruby Rose was cast as Batwoman. Like, they genuinely don't care.
This is all coming from the left.
A lot of it. Not all of it. A lot of it. Like, no, you are not gay enough. I mean, these are the same people who whined that, you know, Scarlett Johansson was a woman playing a woman.
You're right. You know what kills me about that?
I mean, really, they're actors, you bunch of morons.
Well, I was going to say, like, Will Smith, not gay, but one of the best roles he ever played was as a gay man. I don't remember the movie. It might have been like Enemy of the State or something. I don't remember the movie. But
he wasn't gay in Enemy of the State.
Then it's the wrong movie. But he plays a gay character early on in his career, and I remember it being one of his better performances. Again, Will Smith decidedly not gay, but, you know...
And Matthew McConaughey, decidedly not gay. Oscar winner for playing a gay man dealing with AIDS.
Tom Hanks for Philadelphia.
Hanks. Yeah, like, what's the deal here?
Oh, and then somebody at work brought this up to me. They were just like, holy shit, Brokeback Mountain. Neither character gay.
Neither actor. Yeah.
Neither actor, rather. Yeah, I mean,
one half of the most famous gay, like, one of the gayest shows, and I don't mean that as a huge pejorative, but let's take Will and Grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the gayest shows in network television history. Fair to say?
Sure.
Will McCormick, the actor who plays Will, not gay.
Are either one of the gay actors are either one of the gay characters on Modern Family actually gay?
I don't think so.
I did the big dude. I'm pretty sure isn't.
No, he's very not. Have you ever seen him not in that character? He is the beer-swillingest, belchiest man in the world.
No, the only other things I've seen him in is a Weird Al Yankovic video where he's wearing loud clothing for the song "Tacky." And he is very not gay. You have to know this though. He's also the voice of a purple winged horse on Sophia the First.
Well, that's pretty gay. Okay. All that aside, let's actually get back. You should know when we get off on tangents that quickly, it's because we don't have a whole lot to say about the movie.
No. Here, let me jump into my review of this thing. I said this to Robert before we started tonight. I said, I feel like the pitch for this movie was somebody who walked in to a studio office with a sketch pad, and they're like, do you have a script or an outline or anything? Do you have storyboards? And they're like, no, but I've drawn these really cool pictures of a muscly dude fighting a shark. And he proceeds to show him this fanfic, these sketches that he's done. I'd like to show you my etchings. He shows him this entire series of sketches that he did of a guy fighting a shark, and they were like, okay, so that's the movie. It's an action hero who fights a shark in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. They're like, yeah, that's the whole movie. Like, perfect. Here's $150 million. Go make a movie. I get that this was an adaptation of a book, and I know that I know all the history behind it that Robert was talking about, but to me, that's all this was. It was a lot of setup to the best part of the movie, which is Jason Statham going one-on-one with a shark. And every time
bear in mind, this bears almost no resemblance to the book.
The best parts
for better and worse.
The best parts of the movie are Jason Statham when he dives into the water the first time to tag the shark, and then you get that image of him coming up out of the water just shy of being bitten by the shark. It looked awesome. Okay?
I disagree with your assessment of how it looked, but I'm prepared to accept that you enjoyed it.
The entire theater fucking cheered. So if you're having an issue with it, know that the vast majority of people who saw that thought that was amazing looking. Looked very comic booky. I think there's another sequence where it's Jason Statham fighting the shark, but then you have, then you have the leftover ships from the Phantom Menace versus the shark at the very end of the movie. Which, look, who doesn't want to... It was like if somebody said, what would be cool is if there was a dog fight against a shark. They're like, well, how would you get the shark in the air? You wouldn't. Put the plane in the water. Okay. Well, how are you going to do that? I don't know. Let's borrow the yellow spaceships that the kid flew in the Phantom Menace and have him fight with those. Perfect. This year, the movie works as a series of fun images. It works as sort of a hand job for Jason Statham. Outside of that, it doesn't really work at all. The first third of the movie is really boring. The characters. I've never actually seen the actual Friday the 13th where this character appears, but I've done enough Long Road to Ruins with Robert and Sean Comer, and I've done enough podcasts in general where Reggie the Reckless gets brought up.
Oh, I hate that little bastard.
And while I couldn't pick Reggie the Reckless out of a lineup, I know the character now because they've talked about him so many times, and I just kept thinking, this is a horror movie. This is a slasher movie, and you've got a bunch of characters who I don't care about and have no emotional attachment to, and they're being chased around a haunted house. That is first it's the Mana 1 base, and then it's the ship out to sea. And that's it. It's a monster chasing them around. It's a lot of jump scares, and
it's a lot of bad jump scares. I got so sick of the fake out. I'm not the biggest fan of jump scares, but I can appreciate them when they are done correctly.
Right.
Then there's the laziest crutch in the world for jump scares, which is the build tension, build tension, build tension, Nothing's there. Oh, thank you. Then immediately turn around and, there it is. So much of that.
Yeah. So, this movie is kind of a D+ for me. Like, part of me wants to give it a C, but like I can't even say that it was made well. It's a poor script. It's blah acting. There's no characterization. And look, Jason Statham is cool watching fight a shark, but I didn't get the sense that he was playing a character. It felt like they got Jason Statham to fight a shark. That's it. That's all that happens in the movie. And then I haven't seen less sexual tension between two characters since the original Pacific Rim with Charlie Dunham and what the fuck's his name? Not Charlie Dunham. Who's the lead in Pacific Rim? You're supposed to remember this stuff for me.
It is. Hang on, Hunnam. You were close. There's not a D, it's an H. It's Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't seen so little sexual tension between two lead characters since him and another Asian broad in Pacific Rim. It's just terrible.
I don't know. I mean, there's a severe... Hang on. There's something else we reviewed this year that I think falls definitely into that category, and now I'm going to have to look it up. Because I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I don't know. The giant bag of cheese doodles that played Han Solo and the chick that's always naked in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that certainly qualifies.
Amelia Clark.
Let me put it like this. There was more sexual tension between like Deadpool and the fat kid.
Yeah.
From Deadpool 2.
Boy, was there ever. I just...
What was it that we reviewed that just like... from Rampage, like The Rock and whoever.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's nothing happening there.
Dear Hollywood, putting a vagina on screen does not sexual tension make, okay? Jesus Christ. You actually have to try here. The actors have to try. They can't just show up and exude, vagina dust and woohoo, sexual tension. Nope.
Yeah, just putting a man and a woman on screen is not the same thing as
creating genuine.
Oh God! From literally like 2 weeks ago, because Tom Cruise and whatever chick he's supposed to wind up, whose name I forget.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, everyone spends so much time telling the audience, no, I mean, Ethan's only ever been serious about 2 women, and you're one of them. Like, no, there's nothing there. Like, she saw that Oprah Winfrey interview, and there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing happening.
Yeah,
like,
she was
there's so much.
She was about as excited for Tom Cruise, as she would be for, a dental cleaning. So, all in all, I wanted the Meg to be a lot more fun. I wanted it to be a lot more gonzo. I wanted there to be a lot more of, certainly not Jaws, or Godzilla, where the monster doesn't show up, or as soon as it does, it goes off screen. There was plenty of shots of the monster, but there could have been more. They could have done more with the monster. They could have really had fun with this thing.
I was really shocked at how little they actually played with the creature in this.
Right.
Like, oh no, here's its fin. Like, really?
The best part of the movie for me, honestly, was the finale where the shark attacks the island. But even that guy, they cut it short. They saved everybody before the shark could do too much damage. So maybe it killed a half a dozen people, but you could have really had some fun with that on screen. You could have had that shark lay waste to all those people and them get there way too late. But again, it was just like,
I would have done it.
But it was as if to say what we really want to say here is that Jason Statham saved the day, not that we don't want to show a bunch of mass murder on screen by the shark.
That this is one of those things that kills me about these movies. Sharks don't eat people for a very specific reason, actually.
And what's that, Mr. Wizard?
Well, there's 2 reasons. One, I think we just kind of assume we don't taste good to them. That's why you get a lot of exploratory bites and then they spit people out like you. I thought we are a shark biting a surfer on their surfboard has to be the shark equivalent of hiding, like, Brussels sprouts under cheese. Like, oh, something I really like. Oh, God, you tricked me. The other reason for that is we are just not calorically valuable to them the same way that, I mean, the reason bigger sharks like eat seals have so much fat, which is what they need to appropriately metabolize and gain energy from. We're pretty much not worth the energy expenditure it takes to eat us. And that's just a shark that is appropriately sized. For something that is 90 feet long, I think was how long they made this. I mean, we're bait fish. We don't actually count. There is no reason for a shark that size to eat a person. They would be eating whales. Because whales are the only thing large enough for them to actually get value out of eating. They're not going to eat humans. It's just not worth it. But that being said, if you're going with killer shark, make it bloodthirsty and have that. I mean, I might say no, sharks don't eat people. Here's why. But if you're going to make a killer shark, make a killer shark.
Right.
Not one that leaves the damn dog still swimming in the ocean because, oh, feel good.
The audience loved that. By the way, I have more to say about like the audience that I saw it with than I do the actual film. Now, I've brought my kids to a lot of movies over the years, and I've had to say on more than one occasion, will you please shut the hell up? You're in a movie. We don't talk during the movie. I've tried to instill that in my children, and for the most part, you know, nowadays they're pretty good about it.
It's starting to take. It's just You have spent years cultivating this bit of behavior that we all want in everyone around us.
Right. So my 7-year-old daughter mostly stays quiet now. Occasionally I'll hear her mumbling to herself, but for the most part, she's really good and I don't mind taking her to the movies. I went to go see The Meg in a full theater on Friday night, and the entire back row was all elementary to maybe junior high school kids. Not one of them, not a single one stopped talking through the entire movie. I mean, if I had had a gun, I might have shot them. It was that bad. And there were no parents there, or if the parents were there, they weren't saying anything. It was ridiculous, and it wasn't like a huge theater either. It was a fairly small screening, and so like their talking filled up the entire area around me. And I where were the parents? And if the parents were there, why didn't you stop it? But my favorite was when the occasional kid would actually shush another kid and they would get into a shushing fight. That was the best part. So not only was this movie not particularly interesting, not particularly fun, but then what was halfway decent was then ruined by the atmosphere. But speaking of atmosphere, they loved the fact that the dog lived. They thought it was the best thing ever.
I mean, look, it's one of the cardinal rules of filmmaking if you're trying to play to an American audience. Unless you're really careful about it, you can't kill the dog.
Nope. We learned that in Independence Day.
We learned that in Independence Day. We learned that... that was one of my biggest bitches with, what was it? Age of Ultron. Mm-hmm. They literally saved the town dog.
All right. I have nothing... You know, I feel like this is almost emblematic of the entire summer, where, again, with a lot of high expectations here, there was a lot of like, oh, this has the potential to be really good. And it's like, it's not a complete letdown, but it's just kind of a whimper. Just like, well, that was the summer.
Yeah, I wanted... Put it like this. I wanted to have more fun at this than I did.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a big, stupid, enjoyable mess of a movie. That's what I expected this to be.
It's definitely 100%. One of those where the concept is so silly that if you don't go gonzo with it, you're not going to make a very interesting movie. No, because I hear us saying, oh, we wanted to be this, we want to be this. This is the sort of thing that we get angry with other critics for. But you got to remember, the difference here is this isn't a matter of my personal taste. This is a matter of this would have made it a better movie in general. they did not push the envelope a lot. So what they made was a blah picture. They took a silly concept and didn't do anything with it. Essentially, they just, essentially, if somebody said we're going to, instead of calling it the Meg, we're going to just call it Jaws, but, it's going to be a reboot, I honestly wouldn't have known the difference. Other than, as typical with reboots these days, they miss the point, and they're not nearly as good.
Yeah, I didn't even get what I really necessarily wanted out of this movie, and I didn't want a whole lot. I would generally encourage people to read the book because the ending is actually dumber than the ending of this.
Does it involve nuclear weapons?
No. One of those Lexan pods on one of the gliders. The character that Jason Statham plays is it gets eaten, but the pod doesn't break. Mm-hmm. So he's literally inside the shark. Gets out of the pod and
Pinocchio.
Yes. Gets out of the pod and proceeds to cut the shark's heart out, to sever all the arteries around the shark's heart from inside.
Well, I'll tell you why we didn't get that in this movie. We've already seen it. Drax did it in the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
No, Drax did nothing in the second Guardians movie.
Well, he tried
Skin's
to,
the same
least.
thickness on the inside as outside. If it's an issue of thickness, you're not helping yourself.
All right, let's not belabor the point. Let's talk about the money, and let's not stop the podcast this time. What do you think?
I don't know. Can you manage it?
I'm going to try. Here we go. Ready?
Go for it.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money.
Dollar.
I did it! We're still recording!
I will have to take your word for it because I can't see your studio, but
I trust me. I checked. I had to look twice. All right. On a budget of, according to Wikipedia, the budget's somewhere between 130 to 178 million. So
bear in mind, there's another $140 million they spent on advertising.
So let's call it an average of 150 million. Its box office numbers are at exactly $151.5 million. So,
this thing needs to make $400 million to break even.
It'll probably make that much. I mean, it's not. Look, we're moving into September, and as we all know, September is the graveyard of movie releases.
Is it this year?
Really?
Hey, hang on, I'm gonna look. I know there's not a lot.
I got it right
that
here.
That doesn't necessarily mean that. Okay.
Let's just figure out let's just look at the rest of August. Okay, so we've got Crazy Rich Asians, Alpha, Mile 22 with Ron.
Alpha might bite into it with the the whole feel good crap. Mile 22 is probably gonna bomb.
I'm going to see it, but then again, I get to see 3 movies a week for free. So. There's Axel, which looks like the dumbest thing ever. The Happy Time Murders, which is the...
that is so stupid. That is so profoundly stupid. Everyone involved in that should feel ashamed.
I've already got my ticket for it. Kin, which looks terrible. Operation Finale. And then that's all of August. So September, we've got God Bless the Broken Road, The Nun... and Peppermint.
We've got a random movie, a horror entry into a franchise that has proven to have legs, so The Nun will probably do well, and a crappy female version of The Punisher.
Right, that's what that is.
Seriously, I watched the first trailer for that a few months ago and went, I can watch Jennifer Garner try to be a badass, which tends to fail, or I can just rewatch Jon Bernthal being a badass.
Then there's The Predator, which we're reviewing. A Simple Favor.
Because you hate me.
Unbroken Path to Redemption. And White Boy Rick, which actually looks pretty interesting. Then you've got September 21st. You've got Fahrenheit 11/9. The House with a Clock in its Walls, which my wife keeps telling me she wants to go see. Neither of my kids wants to see it, but...
I'm kind of interested in that. I like children's horror. I think it's an interesting genre and has an interesting space to explore. Yeah, there's not a lot.
Life
There's
itself.
really not a lot in September.
And then finally, the last week of September is Hellfest, Little Women, Night School, and Smallfoot.
Oh, Night School will probably win that weekend because people think Kevin Hart's funny for some reason.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for big summer fun,
yeah, it might do okay. I feel like the drop off from next week is going to be significant.
I figure it's got 6 to 8 weeks to get to 400 million. It'll probably do it. It'll probably just do it, but it'll probably do it. As far as how the weekend went, it did well. It won? It was the number one movie of the weekend. It took in $45 million domestically. It knocked Mission Impossible to number 2 and Christopher Robin to number 3. Slender Man debuted at number 4. The other movie I saw this past weekend, Black Klansman, for the new Spike Lee movie.
I can't believe you supported that crap.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. It came in at number 5. The Spy Who Dumped Me, which is what MoviePass has been pushing, fell from 3 to 6. Mamma Mia, here we go again, fell 4 to 7. Equalizer 2, 5 to 8. Hotel Transylvania. You know what you can't sing around children? I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. I've had that song stuck in my head lately, and I find that I can't sing it out loud in front of my children.
Dude, you work in a prison. I assume there's at least one cell block that just knows that song by heart.
They all just join in behind me.
Yeah, go down there and just start singing to get it out of your head and see how many people join in.
Hey, there we go. Anywho, Ant-Man and the Wasp, 7 to 10. Incredibles 2, 9 to 11. Dog Days, debuted at number 12. Rounding out the top 20, you've got The Darkest Minds, Jurassic World, Teen Titans Go to the movies, 8th Grade, Death of a Nation, 3 Identical Strangers, Skyscraper, and coming in at number 20 is Sorry to Bother You. So that's where we are as far as the weekend went. Here's where we are for the year so far worldwide. Not a whole lot of movement here. It's the same top 5 it's been all summer long. You've got The Avengers, Black Panther, Jurassic World, The Incredibles, Deadpool, and Ready Player One. Operation Red Sea, Detective Chinatown. Okay, so here's where there was some movement. Ant-Man and the Wasp made it to number 9, and Mission Impossible pushed Rampage out of the top 10.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm staring at it.
I have a different list than you do, apparently.
I'm using Box Office Mojo.
What is Mission Impossible's total take worldwide?
439 million.
It is not in the top 10.
According to Box Office Mojo, it is.
Do you have Dying to Survive on there?
No.
Apparently there's another, as Mark would say, Chinese Chinaman movie.
Oh.
Called Dying to Survive.
Mm-hmm.
That, according to Wikipedia, has made $451 million. And this sits at number 9 worldwide, with Ant-Man and the Wasp now occupying number 10 at $449.
Interesting. Huh. Get on it, Box Office Mojo. Fix your list. And in case any of you were wondering what happened with Star Wars, Disney's going to write that off this year. It didn't even crack 400 million.
That might not be accurate. Hang on, I want to double check this. When did this come out? It just says 2018. I know the year.
So next week we'll get into...
I don't know. I'm going to have to take that at face value as being essentially accurate of that being accurate. So
next week,
Mission Impossible, not in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, well, according to my list it is, so I'm going with that. In
My
any
list is
case,
better than
next week we'll dig into the movies from the summer, see where they are versus their budgets, talk about did they live up to our predictions and our expectations, that sort of thing. So that'll be our year-end review. I don't have, like I said, next week. We're done with summer movies. The next thing that we're going to review together isn't going to happen until mid-September, and that's The Predator. We got a whole bunch of TV parties coming up for the month of
It's what,
September.
in the next 2 weeks, we're doing the Voltron coming up in the near future because that dropped last week, I think.
No, that got pushed off till November. No, here's what's coming up on the Rattlevision Broadcasting Network, a little early plug section. We've got our summer wrap-up next week. The following week is a TV party for Legion Season 2. Then an on-trial for Pamela Anderson's Barbed Wire. A TV party for Cloak and Dagger. Damn You Hollywood, The Predator. A TV party for Iron Fist Season 2. A TV party for Ozark Season 2.
Who talked you into watching that?
Ozark? Ozark is great.
Yeah.
And Jesse would be responsible for that.
Okay.
In October, we've only got 2 Damn You Hollywoods, and the rest are TV parties. We've got Venom.
Oh God, that looks. Did you hear the? I swear, I had no interest in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the trailers, had less interest in that movie. Then I hear that they're looking at recutting and editing parts of it so that it's only a PG-13.
Yep.
And at this point, we are just wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
Like the only draw for that movie should be that it is
rated R.
Yeah, like. Instead, we're gonna get a bunch of crappy jokes.
Right, because they're trying to create a Spider-Verse on the shoulders of the Venom movie, and it's going to fail.
Without Spider-Man, it's the dumbest thing.
So we've got Hannibal Season 2. We've got the new Halloween movie, and then we have an on trial for Halloween, the 1981 Halloween 2. So. Yeah, like I said, not a whole lot of.
Actually, I really like Halloween too.
Not a whole lot of Damn You Hollywoods between now and the end of October. It starts to pick up again in November.
Both people who listen to this are just crushed.
It'll pick back up again in November and December.
The nurses and the assistants at the retirement home who use this as white noise for all the all the people living there they're horrified by this.
Are you done now? Are you done defacing the good name of this podcast?
We have a good name.
People want to come on it. We must be doing something right, believe it or not.
No. Those two things do not... You can't just say that and pretend that it adds up. It doesn't.
All right. Let's move on. I got weeds to watch. And I'm almost done.
So you look again, like that thing takes a nosedive after starting with season 3.
Yeah, I'm on season. Yes, it does. And look, it's so bad after season 3. I have to talk about it with Sean. So we actually threw up a TV party tonight for weeds for next week.
The first couple of seasons are pretty. I don't care for them all that much, but I can recognize the objective quality. Then nosedive.
Yeah. It's so bad. I told Sean I have things to say, and I
must decompress.
I have to talk about this on a podcast. So, I'm working an extra day next week just to deal with this. All right. So here we go with our, as you called it earlier, our critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So I'm not going to read the Rotten reviews because I've read 4 or 5 of them, and they're actually all everything we just said. So let's let's look at the people who actually liked this thing, gave it a fresh rating, and see what they had to say. Still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Hey, guess what? We're still recording.
Woohoo! Congratulations. You get bonus points for baseline competency.
Yeah! Woo! All right, Matthew Bond of The Mail on Sunday. Acting-wise, this is no one's finest hour, and in this age of ultra-realism, some of the visual effects do underwhelm, but there's still a lot of fishy fun to be had.
No. You were right. I was with you through the first half of that statement. No, like, I'm genuinely curious as to what portions of this movie people had a lot of engagement with. It would just be interesting to me as a just statistical thing, if nothing else. Because I know people who, kind of had fun with this, and you had some fun with it. I would just like to know which parts of this movie elicited that reaction.
Katie Walsh of Tribune News Service, top critic. The film delivers on that silly, stupid summer fun promise, while also exceeding expectations in terms of action and set pieces. Nope.
No. I mean, really, was it the bits where they're on the boat? The cheap bits where they're on the boat? Where Jason Statham swims around in the water? Because that's a great action set piece. To have him, in fairness, him being yanked back by that cord and being chased by the giant shark is probably the highlight of the movie. Everything else is just kind of like, I don't get what was so engaging about it. Also, to pretend are you just ignoring these vast sections of the movie where they're talking to each other badly?
Yeah,
where you have the doctor who's like, no, it was pressure-induced psychosis. He's a loose cannon, you understand. He's on suspension. I genuinely wanted that line. Or where we try to foist a romantic relationship between Jason Statham and I forget the character's name.
A trout.
He has more for the second Statham movie in a row that I can remember, he has more on-screen chemistry with a child than with anyone else. Because in the eighth Fast and Furious, his interactions with the baby were the best thing in that movie.
Yeah. Scott Weinberg of Bloody Disgusting. The Meg has a very firm sense of humor about the ridiculousness of its premise.
Oh, it doesn't.
And that's the sort of we're all in on the joke approach that makes The Meg unexpectedly amusing, even during the talky bits.
Yeah, see, no. The talky bits are bad. Like, the only character who seems to get the joke in this movie is Rainn Wilson. Everyone else seems to take this so seriously that there was one. Okay, I forget forgive me for forgetting the character's name, but the Chinese scientist actually in charge of everything. His bit when he laments that all man can do is discover and destroy was over the top maudlin enough to be comical. Conversely, his bit where they discover shark finners felt like a studio note. Like, this is, oh no, we don't like shark finning. It's in fairness, it's a terrible practice, but why put it in this movie?
All right, Andrew Whalen.
We needed, again, would have been more acceptable if in the background the shark is eating Marlon Wayans as he screams out message.
Andrew Whalen of Newsweek, top critic. The Meg is oddly charming, more pulp than cheese, like the sci-fi pumped out in the 1950s.
I'm not sure I buy that. I'm really not sure I buy that at all, actually. Much more cheese than pulp here.
Living up to its billing as Jordan Farley of Total Film. Living up to its billing as the most ridiculous film of the summer. No. That was Jurassic World.
Hang on. I'm genuinely not sure about that, because, we had Jurassic World, which was pretty ridiculous.
Hang on. The Meg is one to
talk. I'm going to look.
The Meg is one to laugh at rather than with, instantly forgettable but undeniably fun.
I mean, do you think this takes that title from Skyscraper, which was pretty ridiculous from start to finish?
No, that's the most ridiculous movie of the summer.
I mean, you had Skyscraper, or, hey, Mission Impossible Fallout. I mean, if we're just talking about ridiculous movies. Tom Cruise surviving 8 different car accidents that should kill you.
William Bibiani of IGN Movies. A big dumb shark movie that takes itself a little too seriously, and that's the point.
No, that's not the point. No, I really don't think that's the point. That's actually what holds it back. It needs to be dumber than it is.
Roger Tennis of CinemaClips.com. Lively action, thrills, and a few laughs, some unintentional, keep the summer popcorn cruncher afloat.
I I mean, if that's where you landed on it, I'm not so sure I can get too annoyed by it.
Scott Mendelson of Forbes.
Oh, God. This guy.
Fun characters, cool actors, strong production values, punchy dialogue, and plenty of shark action. What more do you want?
You rewatched some other movie, didn't you? You didn't actually see this movie. Okay? None of what you just said is all that accurate. The production values, okay, they're better than... they're acceptable. I was going to say they're better than the average blockbuster, but then I thought about the average blockbuster and kind of had to settle on it. They're acceptable. The dialogue is not punchy. It's awful.
You got to hear this.
Who's paying that? Forbes, why are you paying that man?
I think we're going to end with this one. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like this sums it all up. Laura Clifford of Reeling Reviews. A goofy melding of Spielberg's Jurassic Park and Jaws with a soupçon of Finding Nemo.
Also no.
Jason Statham is a welcome reprieve from rock fatigue.
Okay, hang on. Well, let's address these in 3 parts. First of all, the notion that this is a mashup of 2 of the better Steven Spielberg movies of all time. No. They are not trapped in a park. They do not resurrect the Meg. It's always been there. Jaws actually did a good job of building tension, of building narrative, of creating characters you actually cared about instead of willy-nilly executions. And Jurassic Park, a lot of the same, actually. They were strong enough characterizations to go along with it, and the action looked great. None of that is necessarily applicable here. More importantly, I have no earthly idea where you get Finding Nemo for this, other than my big laugh for this movie was Jason Statham swimming out towards the Meg to spear it, singing the Dory song of Just Keep Swimming. That was legitimately funny.
Right.
The rest of that, no. And then, if you want to say Jason Statham is a welcome relief from rock fatigue, I would submit to you the following. This movie's both funnier and more engaging with Dwayne Johnson in it instead of Jason Statham.
The Rock would have given the shark the rock bottom.
No.
Okay, Jonas.
Yeah. That being said, again, The Rock can't be in every movie.
No.
So, and Statham's again. I weep for this person when we get the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff next year. Like, I'm just so glad my rock fatigue has been alleviated by Jason Statham. Here's a movie with The Rock and Jason Statham. Who is your god now?
Double your pleasure, double your fun. All right, as we said, that brings an end to the 2018 summer sizzling season.
Thank God.
But the winter of Robert Winfrey's discontent goes on and on and on. Robert Winfrey
it never ends. It literally never ends. My creative juices, my emotional entertainment needs I am forever locked in a blizzard. The likes of which would have inspired Dante's 9th level of hell.
All Robert Winfrey can hope for is that I will get bitten that Marvel will continue to produce more TV series, or that DC will continue to produce more TV series, and I'll leave him the hell alone and stay out of the movie theaters.
I pray for illness on occasion.
So with that said, here's what's also coming up on the Rattlevision Broadcasting Network. We had a pair of shows debut yesterday. One was the On Trial for Dances with Wolves, where we more or less argued whether or not it deserved an Oscar. That was the sum total of that discussion. And on the source material side, Jason Teasley took a walk back on the wild side over here on the Rattlevision Broadcasting Network, from where he's currently doing some podcasts, the W2M Network, brought to you by Sean Garmer and friends. They did Spider-Man Threat Level Red and Coming Out Swinging, or whatever it was called. Tomorrow night on the Metal Hammer of Doom, myself and Jesse Starcher will review Kurokan, 9 Years of Blood. Next week, in addition to our summer wrap-up show, Alexis Haina will be joining us on the Source Material podcast to talk about Paul Dini's run on Zatanna. And we'll be looking at...
That's interesting.
And then we'll also review OTEP, Cult 45, on the Metal Hammer of Doom. And as I said before, kind of a late addition to the schedule, we're going to talk about the entire season, all 8 seasons of Weeds, myself and Sean Comer, and finally get this done. We're going to follow that up with a pair of Legion-related shows. First, X-Men Legacy Volume 1, Prodigal Son, or Prodigy, whatever it's called. And then Legion, and then a TV party for Legion Season 2. We're going to review the new Alice in Chains album, Rainier Fog. The following week, we've got an on-trial for Barbed Wire. We've got a source material for Barbed Wire. And we're going to review the new Bullet for My Valentine. The week after that, we've got Exit Stage Left, the Snagglepuss Chronicles. Woo-wee! I know Ronnie Adams has been waiting all year to talk about this. We're going to follow that up with a TV party for the recently ended Season 1 of Cloak and Dagger. Clutch will have released a new album by this point called The Book of Bad Decisions. We'll review that on the Metal Hammer of Doom. And if we can get some of Sean's female friends that had an opinion on the matter to talk about it, we're going to talk of Insatiable Season 1 that just dropped on Netflix.
Oh, God. That is so bad. Like, that whole series, that season is... It's car crash TV. Like, it's so bad you can't not watch it.
Well, here's the thing.
Once you start, you are almost compelled to see just how bad it is. And I think it's by design, in fairness to everyone involved. You almost have to witness how bad and trashy it is.
Well, I'll tell you what. I like the lead actress that's in it. I used to watch Hey Jesse with my kids, and I enjoyed the actress that was on that show. That's Debbie Ryan. She's the lead in this one. So that was my first reason for watching it. The second was this recently apparently caught some degree of flack from folks out there that feel like the show is fat shaming people. So I was like, well, where there's controversy, so
there is Mark Radlich to try and capitalize on it.
To make sense of it all, is what I like to say. So
you're profiteering off of cultural shame, cultural tragedy, Mark. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, tune in next week where we talk on Screaming Boy, Ruby Rose, not gay enough for Hollywood. Right here on the Rattle of the Brook. No, that's not true. Though we are going to do...
that's partially true.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are definitely doing a TV party for the Arrowverse crossover featuring Batwoman, but we'll deal with that in November.
Boo on the Arrowverse. Just boo.
And then finally, we've got an entire week dedicated to Predator and all things Predator. We've got Archie versus Predator on source material.
That is the strangest crossover ever.
We've got a Damn You Hollywood for the new The Predator movie. That week we'll be reviewing the new Corporal Cloney. And then finally we'll be doing an on-trial for Shane Black's Predators. All right, that's all the news that's fit to print here on the Rattle Legend Broadcasting Network. What are you doing over there with you, Robert Winfrey, you?
Well, I've been enjoying some downtime because I was horribly, horribly burnt out on MMA. Thankfully, my downtime coincided with the UFC's downtime, otherwise that would have been really awkward. There was no podcast last Sunday. There will be one this Sunday as we preview UFC Fight Night 135. It's not a good card. The main event's decent enough. It's Justin Gaethje versus James Vick, which it has a bit of violence inherent in it. But the rest of that card is like the next fight down on it is Michael Johnson and Andre Fili, and there's nothing good. There's nothing else good on this card.
All right.
So this Tuesday, you can listen to me preview this card and explain all of the individual fights and why they're not good.
This Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. And then Saturday the 25th, I will have coverage of that event in the MMA Zone of 411 Mania. And the week after that, we should be back to our regular schedule. Let me see. So 25th that happens. 26th. No, the 26th will just be a review of that event. Then on the 2nd, we will preview UFC 228. Also not a good card. We'll be taking bets on whether or not Darren Till actually makes weight for his welterweight title fight with Tyron Woodley. I don't think he will. How long it takes Valentina Shevchenko to defeat Nico Montano, and Yair Rodriguez battles Zabit Magomed Sharipov for the title of King of Useless Spinning Shit.
That sounds fun.
Zabit should win, because Yair Rodriguez isn't that good. It's not a good card. So you can listen to us preview all of that. Something will fall through between now and then, I'm almost certain, so the hilarity will ensue. And then I'll be back next week to complain about how miserable this summer was in movies, because boy was it ever. Mark, you can't defend this summer season of movies. Even you just can't do it.
Well, I'm certainly going to try. Challenge accepted.
No, you're not.
All right, folks. It's been a gas. We will,
as always.
We'll be back next Tuesday. For Robert Winfrey, I am your eternally optimistic mandated reporter and frankly unmortified Mr. Mark Radledge. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Welcome to the Total Wireless store, where total confidence awaits.
Our daughter's off to summer camp, and we're worried our network coverage won't reach her.
Don't worry, you got this with Total Wireless. Our phones run on the nation's best 4G LTE network. It'll be like she never left.
The nation's best network? I feel better already.
Now you can focus on how you're spending your summer.
Discover the Total Wireless stores and get total confidence. The latest phones, the best network, all at great prices. Now open in Miami. Refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at TotalWireless.com.